Bonsoir. Bonsoir, Paris. Thank you so much for staying for us. I know it's late and everyone wants to go to the party, but we're visiting you from South Africa. So I hope that you will stay with us for a few more minutes and we have some few truths to share with you. I convinced my client, Jason, to be as honest as possible about the truth of scaling AI in a highly complex environment. Pepkor Group, just to share a few facts with you, is one of the largest and most complex retail groups on the African continent, with over 6,500 stores, annual sales of $6 billion and over 50,000 staff. It's not only a giant. Remember, South Africa is a slightly more nuanced country compared to France. Oh, does anybody know where South Africa is on the global map? Yeah? Good. Does anybody know the population of South Africa? Oh, come on, tell us. So, of the 68 million population that is measured, only 19 million are officially employed, which means there is humongous potential in the informal market. What does that have to do with the Pepkor Group? Well, this is exactly where data becomes powerful. It has become one of the most innovative fintech players. It has today over 70% of all traders on its books through its fintech's products. So let's get into it, Jason. We're dealing with a group that combines opcos, meaning retail brands, that are directly competing with each other in the market. As the CIO of the group, how do you then manage to scale the use of data and AI between and across these competing brands? What is the strategy?
Thank you, Sophia. So when I took over the role 18 months ago, data and analytics really wasn't firing on all cylinders in our group. The challenge that we had was that the data scientists and the analysts were building AI models that we were going through expensive pilots on a regular basis. Adoption was extremely low because they weren't building what the brands were wanting. So I had 3 months to sort that out as quickly as possible. So it needed a radical approach. And that is to split the data and the analytics and the AI, separate them. So it was central enablement and decentralization of execution. So that means the engineers and the ML ops were centralized, and their main role was to provide a solid foundation where our data can be properly democratized across all the brands and make easy access to data. And then I moved all the data scientists and the AI competency into the actual brands. The biggest benefit there is they actually learned how retail works, but more importantly, they could understand what problems and challenges the retailers were facing, and as well as where the opportunities were, where these new technologies could play a bigger role. And the responsibility then lay with the brands to ensure that they were delivering value from these resources.
Thanks, Jason. You shared with me that in order for you to achieve a place of scalability, you first needed to create trust and collaboration between brands, but also brands across and to you as headquarters. Now, what does it take to create trust? And what were some of the perhaps bold decisions that you had to make early on when you took this role to create trust and collaboration?
Yes, 18 months ago, Pepkor decided IT needed to play a bigger role in the group. At that stage, the IT function was essentially a service provider. They weren't strategic to the group, they weren't making strategic decisions, they weren't putting a roadmap in place from a technology perspective. That was all completely federated amongst the brands. So there was no trust between the brands and IT, and there was no collaboration between all these different brands, which meant we couldn't really benefit from the scale of having 20 companies in the group. So for me to earn that trust, I needed to make some bold decisions that hopefully worked or didn't work. Hopefully they have worked out after a year. But some of the bold decisions was, like we discussed, the decentralization and centralization of certain of the data functions. That's firing on all cylinders now, so I scored some points there. We've started some really big and crucial projects for the organization. Like for instance, Customer 360. We know that we have a lot of customer data across the entire group. And for the first time, we're consolidating that into one place and enhancing it with external data to make it a true asset for the organization and enabling us to democratize it across the brands and let them get the value out of this asset that we're busy building. The group has given us full marks for that one. But I think the biggest decision that we made is something we call Vision 2030. So because of this federated model that we've been running, our tech landscape it's want of a better word, it's a mess. There's been no central drive to simplify the landscape, and as a result of this federated model over the last number of years, we've got 5 ERP systems in our group. We have 12 warehouse management systems. We have 9 HR systems. I can go through the full value chain. It runs into double numbers, the number of systems that we have. The problem with that is it causes complexity when you're trying to ingest that amount of data in real time. You have to do massive amounts of translation and transformation on this data. You don't always get it right, so your data is not always accurate, and everybody's losing trust in that data. So Vision 2030, very simplified, is in Nirvana 5 years, probably more likely 5 to 10 years, we're going to have one ERP, one warehouse management system, one HR system, and across the value chain, one system. It's Nirvana, but we're going to be a lot closer than what we are from a complete mess we're in now. And that'll give us a simplified application landscape, which then means your data layer on top of that is far more accurate, far more trustworthy, and then it's easy to put an AI layer on top of that and to be able to use these new technologies at scale. So that built the trust up over a year. So we've got some runs on the board. So there's now trust between us, and now we create communities which causing collaboration between the brands. And there's a number of different communities. For instance, we have advanced analytics community. We have security community. And the idea of these is to get the brands in a room talking about innovation, talking about projects and where they can collaborate to land big projects for the group. So that's how we got the trust and the collaboration back into the system.
Sounds really good. Now, of course, we're here at Adopt AI, and everyone wants to know what is the AI that every retailer should be adopting. I would love to hear, do you believe there are certain use cases that every retailer should adopt, and have you gotten your top 5, or what would you recommend are those Adopt AI cases?
Yeah, so no, everybody is chasing that one project, that one use case that's going to increase your revenue by hundreds of millions of dollars or save you hundreds of millions of dollars because you're more optimal. We do have 1 or 2 lighthouse projects in the group. Customer 360 is one of them. But I think, to be honest, Sophia, it's what we call marginal gains. It's a lot of AI use cases that are going to add 0.1 or 0.5 of a percentage point onto your bottom line. And when you consolidate those use cases, you'll come up with a 5 or 6%. If I can relate that to, I used to be paid to race bicycles a very long time ago, but I think the new modern age of cycling is called marginal gains. So the athletes are as close to 100% fit as what you can possibly be too. So to become fitter by 1%, it's very, very difficult. So you look at the external factors like clothing, like equipment, like aerodynamics, like nutrition. So we apply the same principle in Pepkor. there's not one specific use case, there's many. For instance, supply chain, you were using AI to optimize routing for our products because we move almost 1 billion items of product every year across our supply chain. So all of those add up to that 2 or 3% that you're looking for.
Brilliant. So to stick then with the comparison of cycling, it's really not that your great competitive advantage comes from that single breakthrough, but rather from that unyielding pursuit of hundreds of small perfections. We're almost out of time, but I have one last question. We're hearing people talk about this AI bubble and how companies are spending humongous amounts of money under the premise of even larger returns. In the context of a low-value retailer, though, I would imagine that you have a very conservative view of how you spend, and we're keen to hear what it is that you do to prevent any unreasonable expenditure in the age of AI.
Yeah, I think the inconvenient truth here is these new technologies are going to cost you more money. We're a Google house end-to-end. Our GCP costs are exploding 40% year on year. And you don't want to cap that because it obviously means that your organization is inquisitive about the data, they're using the data. Are they using it effectively and efficiently is what the question is. So you need to tie a value and hold the brands accountable for delivering the value for that investment. So if you're growing 40% expenditure, you must have a 4x or 5x or 10x benefit from that. But I think where IT can assist, there's two places. One is trying to understand and define and measure what that value is. And I think the second one is we need to put guardrails in place to help the brands. And those guardrails are making sure that you've got world-class ML ops and engineers to make sure that your models are running optimally, and education. We're giving business users new tools. It's like kids with a new tool. You need to educate them on how to use it effectively and not run queries that are going to run up massive bills. So there's a place where we can help them, but it's value and putting the guardrails in place.
Thank you.
Thank you.